Hello there, and welcome to GamePoints episode 155, your weekly get-together for this week in gaming news. I'm, as always, your host, Stephen Brandon. Joining me today is...
I'm David.
Tonight, David, we have not too much to actually go over. We have an aging 90s star trying to become relevant again. We have a big game getting leaked that we need to warn you about. We have some fucked up things the company is doing, and of course, it wouldn't be the end of the year without our best and worst / most disappointing moments in gaming of 2018, which we'll be going over. If you want to join the conversation on any of these moments and you happen to be watching live here at Twitch TV / GamePoints, feel free to join the conversation if you can. Pop in, leave questions, comments, concerns, join in the conversation. It's just part of your show as much as ours. If you happen to be watching us live on YouTube, or not live rather, but later on at YouTube, feel free to comment down there as well. David.
Yes, sir.
So anything you want to bring up first before we get right into this first news story?
No, let's just talk about this nonsense.
All right, let's go ahead and bring this up real quick. First, I want to mention right out, we are not going to be giving any spoilers, so don't immediately hit your mute or anything like that. We're not going to be talking about that, but we are going to mention this real quick as a PSA. Apparently, a full retail copy of Kingdom Hearts 3 is in the wild.
And supposedly, there's a few of them.
Oh, more, yeah.
There's some guy that was posting on Facebook about selling copies of Kingdom Hearts 3 for like $100, and had posted a bunch of videos proving that he actually had copies, which is a little ridiculous because that game doesn't come out for 6 weeks.
Yeah, these
like a lot of like breaks are like a day or two before the game comes out. Someone gets it.
Right. These strike me as copies being sent out to reviewers that someone who probably works in distribution saw, opened up, and went, "Oh, let me take these. They'll never know they're gone." From what I understand, he has been caught already, according to one of the voice actors, and the investigation wrapped up pretty quick. But just FYI, copies are out there. Be careful of spoilers, because even if only, say, 40 copies were sold, likelihood of one of those assholes trying to deliberately spoil people is high, so just be very careful.
This game has been in development for 13 years, and this close to the end, all of a sudden there's a bunch of spoilers out there. They did have a press release that came out stating that like the epilogue and secret ending or something like that aren't actually in whatever build that this guy had, and they're going to be released later.
So in a tweet
something like that,
tweet from the Kingdom Hearts account itself says the following: "We're aware that a small portion of Kingdom Hearts 3 has been circulating online before its official release. We're also aware as to how this all happened, meaning the guy who stole them is fucked. They know how he got it. We're sorry to see this cause concern among our fans and excited for the release. The whole team has been working together since yesterday night to investigate what we can do to better this situation. But first, we would like to ask you do not share these videos." I get the sentiment, guys, but someone's going to go, if I don't share these videos, I'm going to miss out on hundreds of thousands of YouTube clicks. So that's just not happening either.
Oh, yeah, dude, you got it. You got to get YouTube famous.
The game's epilogue and secret movie, which are the biggest spoilers of the game, are planned to be released at a later date just in case, so they will not be shown before the game's release. It sounds like a case of day one patch.
Yeah.
Probably just in case something like this very thing happens. We want to ask you, it just talks about, hey, we're careful of spoilers, etc. But yeah, the important thing to note is that the ending movies are not currently included in on this. I do want to thank Introspect for showing up, and Dr. Hugo. Thank you for the subscription. It is truly appreciated.
Dude, that's 2 months.
I know.
Solid.
It's almost like
I've listened to us talk. I mean, I don't know who would do that.
But thank you guys for showing up. David, situations like this suck, especially when I mean, you said it. It's been in development 13 years.
Yeah.
Has it been development for 13 years? I think Kingdom Hearts 1 came out 13 years ago. I think that's what the quote is.
Okay, then, yeah. It's been a long damn time, and there's a lot of people who've been waiting for this game for what feels like forever.
Right.
And just to have it leaked 6 weeks before with a bunch of videos online that spoil a bunch of the game, that sucks.
Just
like this guy trying to go for his 10 minutes of fame or whatever. I saw an article where they reached out to the guy to say, like, aren't you worried about what's going to happen or something? His response was like, no, I'm the man.
Yeah, well,
or how did you get these things? Like, oh, I'm the man.
Kotaku reached out, and one of my favorite press release quotes, by the way. He's like, I'm the man, don't worry about it. But yeah, apparently he did get caught. If Square Enix goes, we know how this happens, that means they know who did it.
He's about to be the man in jail.
Yeah, and potentially big jail time too, because you sign shit when you take those jobs saying I will not do X, Y, and
Oh
Z.
yeah, dude. Lawyers write NDAs, and lawyers don't really screw around.
No, and let's assume for the fact that what he stole only has like a street value of like $1,000, right? Like let's say he stole like maybe 100 games, $60 a pop, $6,000 worth of games. That's not what they're going to get him for, though. They will go after him for potential loss in sales and damages from people who saw what happens and don't get the game anymore. That can literally add up to millions if a lawyer is good enough.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he don't do shit like this because they will get you and it is bad. So don't think you can get away with this. But yes, I wanted to lead the show off with that because just as a general precautionary measure, be exceedingly careful because you are going to have
be cautious with your Googling, folks.
Yeah, you are going to have people sliding in spoilers deliberately and accidentally. Not everyone thinks with that spoiler filter on at all times. I know I don't. So just be careful. Anyways, that is going to kind of wrap up with that story there is. It seems to have been resolved. Let's go ahead and move on to arguably the biggest story this week. I just wanted to get this Kingdom Hearts thing out of the way to kind of give people an early warning in case they're going to pal around somewhere else during the show. But David, why don't you go ahead and lead us off to this next story, which is really fucked up if you start digging into it.
Yeah, when you first look at it, so there's a story that came out from Blizzard's camp this last week. And they just had like this big announcement. I don't know that I'm going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to just highlight some of it. Basically, they're talking about how they're evolving, they're changing their games. We got to figure out what we need to support, where we're going to put our focus, yada, yada, yada. And then go on to say, we've made the difficult decision to shift some developers from Heroes of the Storm to other teams. We've also evaluated our plans around Heroes esports after looking at all of our priorities and options in light of the change with the game. The Heroes Global Championship and Heroes of the Dorm will not return in 2019. And that's from K.O. Milker, the production director. They mentioned they're still going to work on the game. They're still going to have updates, stuff like that. But yeah, it sounds like they're
said
cutting
that we're committed to regular hero rework, same events in the heroes. So they're not stopping the end of. They're not stopping the game.
They're not stopping the game, but it's basically on life support. Like they're going to get rid of the core team, so you're probably not going to get releases at the same rate. I mean, maybe you are, but I highly doubt it because if you remember, Diablo 3 had a whole bunch of content for a while there, and then they had a kind of similar announcement when they pulled focus off Diablo. How much shit's coming out for Diablo now?
Nah, not much.
So that's kind of the worry.
And a MOBA.
And just taking that, you're like, okay, yeah, it's a MOBA. Maybe not a ton of people are playing it. I guess it's not that big a deal that they're going to focus on other things. But then you start thinking about the fact that they canceled all the tournaments for next year.
And that's where my problem with it comes in. Ending a game happens. It does happen, right? That's not my issue. My issue is the way fucking Blizzard handled this. Is that apparently, if these sources to be believed, and there's a fantastic Kotaku article I'm going to be pulling up from Jason Schreier that reading some quotes from there. If the esports players are be believed, they have been trying to contact Blizzard for months about the status of 2019 tournaments, and Blizzard kept saying, "We'll have information soon. We'll have information soon.
We have a big announcement coming."
Yeah. And rather than telling these people personally, they just fucking put out a blog post going, "Oh, by the way, all of you people are fucking fired." Because the esports leagues were paying these people a yearly salary to show up. There are teams having to fold, lay off players, all of this at the last second because...
Well, because all these people are gearing up for a new season. And at this point, esports for a bunch of people is an actual job.
Yes.
It's what people do for a living. So you have all these guys that put all this time into this game, and they're gearing up for a new year, and they're basically all laid off. Like everybody that's in the pro team, everyone who's gearing up to play Heroes of the Dorm, basically just need to abandon HotS because there's no money in it anymore whatsoever. I mean, there might be small pop-up tournaments, but it's not going to be the same.
Right.
And that sucks because it's like showing up to work and telling you that your job doesn't exist anymore. But maybe there's some similar jobs that'll be hard to get into because they have just as many people working there already that you had working here.
I'm going to read some quotes from this excellent Jason Schreier article. I suggest you go take a look at him at Kotaku. Yes, I know, but Schreier does really good work.
Yeah.
First off, the news came as a shock to hundreds of Hero of the Storm players and broadcasters, many of whom say they now find themselves without income streams and no warning. Quote from one player, "We are troubled by the way the announcement was made, namely the impolitic choice to use social media to share such a message that effectively ended the careers of hundreds of players, content creators, casters, production crews overnight and broke the hearts of countless fans," end quote, wrote diary of the general manager of the esports team called Method. I didn't even think about that. You have people who make YouTube livings off casting analysts of the tournaments, and they just fucking came out at the right before 2019 hits and goes, "Oh, we're not doing anything no more in 2019." Someone else said, as someone who's committed to the as someone who has commentated Heroes of the Storm since 2015, I mostly feel for the 200 pro players who have just lost a job via a blog post today, wrote caster Wolf Schroeder. John Lauber on Twitter said, "Fuck you, honestly. Working 6 hard months with the fantastic teammates for this shit. Radio silence for weeks. I sent multiple emails, and all I got back was that we're working on the finalizing the details."
Yeah.
Maskin's
we could have made an announcement at any point.
Said on Twitter, "I feel like this is unacceptable by any company to kick so many people in the ass over a blog option after being constantly asked about plans since BlizzCon was over. I wouldn't be this upset if they told me that there's an option of no HDC, but at this point I wasted 1 month of my life and nobody will give it back." It just goes on and on and on about how Blizzard... Let's be honest, Blizzard knew this was happening.
Yeah, they had to have known for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just the way all this works out, and they chose to not actually say it until the second to last week of December.
It's so fucked up.
That's when they let the news out, which is just... It's just really shitty.
Let's not forget that there have been a lot of talk coming out of Blizzard about how they brought in some new Activision CEO. His name forgets me, to replace another guy whose name forgets me, who's been at Blizzard forever. And he's been telling people going, "Can we do this cheaper? Do we have to spend this much money?"
Remember, what, a month or two ago, we were talking about the Activision influences are on the wall as people were being told to cut costs constantly. Yeah. Like they were a company about to go out of business, being just told to slow it down, shut this down, don't do this, don't do that, yada yada, and then make us more money as they try and push every single game that Blizzard puts out to make Overwatch money.
Right.
It's kind of disturbing how apparent it is that they're being just pressured into this stuff, because let's go back in time to before Blizzard got scooped up and everyone's worry about when Activision picked up Blizzard. I think a lot of people saw, okay, this is a company that has a very distinct culture. They have their own thing. The games they put out are solid. They can make games run on any damn thing, and even their laziest projects run really well. And now they're just being told to shut this stuff off. Now I get that HotS maybe didn't make them much money. I think it might even have broke even. But if you got guys that want to work on something, let them try. Because I heard that the people kind of moved around, and some people would go to HotS as a stress relief or to change it up, because Blizzard seemed like that kind of company.
So here's my stance on it. It's not even the fact that they've canceled HotS that's a problem with me, because as I said, games end. They just do. After a while, it becomes too expensive to keep things running, and you just have to shut some shit down. I get that. What I hate from this is the way they went about doing this. They fucking told these people in a public blog post, "Hey, sorry, your jobs are fucking over." After them asking, going, "Hey, we have fucking plans we gotta make. We have to set up training. We have to fucking book hotel rooms. I need to know if I need to save money aside to show up to whatever you're holding this place at. I have shit that I have to plan for the year. Tell me." And they're like, "Oh, we'll tell you soon. We'll tell you soon. We'll tell you soon." And then go, "Oh, we're just not doing any of it." And that, it combined with the Activision news that's been coming out about how they've been slowly extending their reach deeper into Blizzard, and just the grumblings of Blizzard over the past few years, not to say anything about the Diablo 4 bullshit that went down at BlizzCon, so they already kind of have a black eye going into this. And it's just, in a vacuum, this news would be bad, but not as catastrophic as it is right now. It would not be as the bigger PR issue than it is right now if it was just this story. But with everything else combined, and everything we've been hearing out of Blizzard lately, from anonymous rumors to just things you ultimately see them changing, this is It's not a good look, and I hate that phrase. Oh, it's a good look, but it's not. This is bad, bad. Anyways, let us know what you think about Blizzard killing all tournament support for Heroes of the Storm down below. I, for one, will not allow Blizzard to let them cancel Heroes of the Storm until they give me Blackthrone. You know, that lovely obscure ass character that maybe only 10% of the people who play the game have heard. And honestly, I would say that the reason why this is all happening is because they're not giving us what we want, which is an old obscure ass Super Nintendo game.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Lost Vikings isn't enough, guys. You got to really, really up it.
Or at least give me the car from Rock and Roll Racing. Nothing that okay. I got a silent nod from David.
Yeah, dude.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to this next story here. So remember how last week we were talking about the Epic Game Store?
Yes. Epic Game Store came out, or started coming out. They've got some exclusives, and the big news there was that they were going to have a revenue split of 88% to the creators and just 12% to Epic, which is a big deal because the standard go-to for most companies, including Steam, is 70-30.
In fact, the Epic Store was taking very hard shots at Steam during their press announcement.
Without saying it directly.
Yeah, of course, because you just don't want to do that. So, not to be outdone by Epic, Discord has gotten in on this and announced their own revenue split changes with the headline, "Why not 90-10?" And I love what Discord does right here. They just give us the TLDR of TLDR in 2019, Discord Store will allow developers to self-publish games with a 90-10 revenue split. And that's all you really need to know.
Right? They have a whole post about it, but really, in a title and a single byline, they got it. It's done.
Yeah. This is good. They do say that the 10% is just mainly for server costs and everything too, and that they allude that they're not making any money on that. How accurate that is, I don't know. A company does nothing
also
that
keep
they
in
can't
mind
make
that
some money off of.
Discord is in a unique. Okay, so I'm not sure. I could be bullshit making this up, but I feel like Discord is probably already installed on more users' computers than the Epic launcher. But
You're probably right.
I could be 100% wrong, but last I checked, a lot of gamers have dropped Skype so they could talk to their friends online because fuck that Microsoft product because it's poorly taken care of and everything.
Skype has been and always will be garbage.
Yeah, Discord's great, and everyone I know switched to Discord quite a while ago. So everyone I know has Discord on the computer. Not everyone I know has the Epic launcher on the computer, but the people I know aren't 13, so they're not playing Fortnite. I don't know. Let's
see. Yeah, chat seems to be in agreement. Dark Ego says TeamSpeak is dead. It's now Discord. Coco for Tacos, thank you for showing up, by the way, says they have Discord, but TeamSpeak is their main. He even owns a TeamSpeak server. So some TeamSpeak users here, but it sounds like even he has Discord as well. So everyone at least seems to... Everyone.
I mean, I almost want to put out a poll and be like, okay, who has Discord on their computer? Who has the Epic launcher on their computer? Who has both? And just see the numbers. I'm just very curious.
Yeah, it'd be unscientific, but it's something I would like to see.
Yeah.
Let's see. So yeah, go Discord. What do you think about all these sale distribution platforms popping up everywhere?
I think it's amazing. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, and it's something that should have happened a long time ago. I know a bunch of people are complaining because they're like, oh, I don't want to have another launcher on my computer. Oh, it's so bad. Competition makes things better.
Yes.
It just does. Steam, while it is the behemoth in the room, and everybody loves it because it's where all of their games lives, are actually notoriously shitty. If you've gone into all the new games being added to it, it's just a who's who of nonsense you've never heard of. The games that are greenlit, a lot of them are just straight garbage, and it has been that way for a long, long time. Their customer support is laughable at best, and the only thing is, at some point recently, we got refunds, which is cool, but I don't know. Besides the fact that all my friends are on Steam, I don't have a whole lot of positive shit about Steam. I mean, that's where my games live. That's what opens on my computer every time I turn it on because it has to.
My stance used to be for the longest time, stop fucking making your own payment platforms. Just put it on Steam. And it's not because I have anything against competition or anything like that. It's just...
You just want it all in one location.
Not only that, but the offerings that were given to us was shit like Origin,
Uplay.
Uplay, Bethesda.net. But if you stop
Yeah,
and think about it,
I still hate Uplay.
you know, you know what other distribution platform I have on my PC, and I didn't even think about it as one until I stopped and thought about it, is BattleNet.
Yeah,
And
BattleNet is
I like
absolutely a launcher.
BattleNet, and that's what that is, right? So if I get the knee jerk reaction of going, fucking stop putting it on other shit and just keep it on Steam, because most of the other shit we've gotten is ass. Yeah, I agree. Coke for tacos. I'd rather get waterboarded than use Origin as well.
That's funny.
So
yeah, so my whole thing is that I'm actually, I think, the most excited for Discord because I don't love exclusives or even really timed exclusives. I like the idea because there's a lot of games that have integration with Discord now. And if you see your friend is playing a game, you can like click on them and join them. And if your games are just built into Discord, then that will make it easier as opposed to it like trying to force launch Steam and yada yada doing other stuff.
Right. The problem with people wanting everything on Steam is we just don't have any good opportunities or good platforms until now. We are getting
now
things
if
like Discord
only
and
GOG had like the time and the funding to get their stuff this good, because it's always going to come back to the big question: what happens when your service turns off? What happens when your servers are down? What happens to all my games later? Because if Steam just shut off tomorrow, everyone's fucked. You don't own anything on Steam. It's all leased. You bought it, you paid for it, but technically it's all still on their server. I mean,
you don't know the rights to it.
Yeah, because everything has to launch through Steam. Whereas
like the license
GOG,
to play it.
DRM free, you just download a game on every damn computer you own, launch it, play it forever, no issues, which is how it used to be.
Right.
Back in the day.
So Coco in chat mentions, do you guys think Discord is going to become what Steam is trying to do? No.
Steam added their like social media-ish, like when they changed their friends list and did all that other shit, which I felt was them just trying to keep up or stay relevant in a friends list manner. I don't know anyone that uses like Steam to talk to people.
What I personally think Discord is trying to do is that they're not trying to be the next Steam. What Discord wants is to become the next Twitch. They want, like how the Twitch has their Twitch marketplace, they want you to start buying games there. I guarantee you within the next year or so, you're going to see live streaming on Twitch or Discord.
I completely forgot that you could even buy games on Twitch.
Yep.
I'm not going to lie. I forgot that was even a thing that could possibly happen.
I actually like it. I actually like Twitch's distribution platform a little bit. A little bit. It has a lot of issues, but I don't mind it. So, yeah, let us know what you think about this Discord thing, about other platforms coming up. Like I said, I think the knee-jerk reaction of people going, oh, no, fuck that, put it on Steam, is because we've had so many bad alternatives lately. But now we're starting to get some good ones, or at least some good-looking ones. And we'll see how it definitely shakes out. Okay, David, we have a couple of quick announcements to make before we get into the funniest story of the week so far. First, I do want to mention real quick, Metro Exodus, that game that was coming out on February 22nd, has been moved up a week to February 15th.
Hey, look at that date getting less busy.
You know what's funny about that date is everyone got the fuck out of that game. Because for the while, February 22nd was the same date as Days Gone, Crackdown 3, Metro Exodus, and Anthem, and now all of them but Anthem have moved.
Which I don't think it's necessarily that Anthem is like this big scary thing for everybody, but more of that was a placeholder date and everyone was like, it's going to launch sometime in February.
Yeah.
And when everyone looked at it, they don't actually all want to launch it at the same time.
Right.
Like, there's been this kind of, it's really fun because I feel like it's happened more in the last couple of years that there's like a resurgence of games releasing in like early spring.
Oh,
like
that's
February,
Christmas
March,
too
April.
Now, baby.
Yeah, and it's fantastic because for the longest time, all the damn games came out between September and December, and that was fucking it. Like, you bought all your games then, and that's what you played all year.
I call this the Dying Light effect.
Yeah. Dying Light came out in, March? And sold like gangbusters because there was nothing else to buy. There was no other new games.
Yeah. And now everyone saw everyone saw that's a valid time to release a game. So now you're getting like AAA releases in then. Other than
now you need the guy that brings out a big game in like June, like right before like E3 and all the expos. Like, hey, while you guys are watching all these streams, you want to play a video game?
Yep, exactly. I think the reason why you don't ever see anything big in June or July is because all the companies out there are so focused on making E3 shine. Because if your E3 presentation gets fucked, you're fucked for the year. I mean, look no harder than Microsoft's first launch year of the Xbox One. So there's a lot of time and effort focused for E3 because it's not just a show for gamers; it's a show for the investors to watch and go, okay, this looks good, this looks bad. So a lot of time and effort gets put into that. Anyways, we do have one more quick news story before the final one here, and that is that Media Monocle is announcing that there's going to be a Total Normal Dream stream on December 18th.
Totally Normal Dream stream.
Totally
December
Normal
18th,
Dream stream.
5 p.m.
So
GMT.
Dreams is that game that the guys who made Little Big Planet have been working on for like fucking 10 years, it feels like
a
now.
minute. Every time I see
while.
it, I think it's interesting because it's a almost surreal level of building your own damn games thing.
Yes, and at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just stealth released for free, because this game needs to shit on getting off the pot. What I personally think is going to happen, though, is they're going to announce, hey, here's the demo that we've been promising for Dreams for like the past 3 years. You can download it right now on PlayStation Network. I get the feeling that's going to happen, but we'll find out tomorrow around 5 p.m. GMT, which I think is 9 here.
Yeah, sounds great.
9 or 10 o'clock.
Time zones?
I think it's like 9 or 10 o'clock on the Pacific. So, just two quick little news
Coke, I really hope you're wrong. I refuse to even acknowledge a potential Little Big Planet Battle Royale.
Just all these sack boys murdering each other.
Right?
Okay, David. Let's move on to... This is a story that's kind of breaking. I didn't even know it was coming up. Introspect, there's not a GamePoints Discord, by the way, but I'm thinking about putting one up. I need to put one up.
It would just be us talking to each other, really.
Yeah, really. I need to put one up, though, so you guys can all get in there. Anyways, back to where I was. This story came out about an hour or two ago, and all the games press media went, oh, thank you. Because there was nothing to fucking talk about over the next couple days. But now we have this, which has all the hallmarks of a good clickbaity article. It has a very popular game. It has an actor that was tied to a very popular show. It deals with lawsuits. It has all the sexiness thrown together to make a really good clickbaity headline. In that article, that story, the one I picked from is over here from the New York Daily News. Alfonso Rubio files fresh lawsuit claiming Fortnite maker stole his signature Carlton dance. Now, how many of you guys have seen Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? I know you have, David.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do we all know what the Carlton dance is?
Yes, everyone hopefully should.
It's that thing when he kind of shakes around and throws it out there. It's designed to be like a really awkward...
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
Yes.
Steven?
Yeah, it's not unusual to... I forgot the rest of the song. Fuck it.
All right. You're doing great.
So, essentially, from the article itself here, it says that Alfonso Ribeiro claims Fortnite unfairly copied his famous Carlton dance to watts off with a pile of cash. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's actor filed a copyright infringement lawsuit Monday in Los Angeles, claiming Epic Games never sought or obtained his permission to use the highly recognizable signature dance he created for his Carlton Bates character in the 1990 sitcom starring Will Smith. So I know it's easy to just dismiss this as bullshit, David. But...
potentially.
does he actually have a case here?
So here's the funny thing is, if you track it, the dance is fucking spot on to what he does.
Yep.
And the big thing is he's not actually the only one. There's been quite a few, well, all the dances, or at least a large amount of the dances in Fortnite, are based on popular dances. And what it seems like is that they're not really asking permission or paying any royalties or doing anything. They're just grabbing a mocap or screen grabbing it and rendering it in the game. I think he's one of the first few to actually sue them on it. Earlier in the month, 2 Milli decided to sue them over his dance from Milky Rock, I want to say. And there's been a couple other artists who are just kind of mad at Fortnite, either talking about it, mentioning it on Twitter, or just kind of ignoring it. Like there's a Snoop Dogg dance in there, but when asked, he doesn't give a shit because it's Snoop and he's pretty laid back.
Yeah, he's got his money. He doesn't give a fuck.
But like Chance the Rapper had a series of tweets talking that the Epic should actually start paying out royalties or give music notes or give some kind of credit to the artists that made these dances, which has been retreated by like Block Boy, by Millie, by a couple other people. And even the Scrubs actor Donald Faison, his dance when he does Poison in that show has been copied into the game, and he's like, yeah, no one talked to me about it, no one said anything about it, that was my dance, I did it for the show, and it's in the game. And it's exactly spot on. If you can start them both at the same time, that's what it is.
So I guess the question is, can you own a dance move?
I mean, I feel like at this point in time, you can almost own anything.
Was Michael Jackson able to copyright the moonwalk?
It's possible.
I don't know.
The man copyrighted or had a trademark on Happy Birthday. You weren't allowed to sing Happy Birthday for a long damn time because he had
yes,
it.
But that was also I believe. You know, I don't know the details about that specific case, to be quite honest with you, anymore. So I'm not going to actually comment on where I was going from there because I don't remember.
He did have it as a trademark.
He did. Okay. I mean, if he had it as a trademark and they put it in there, then this is kind of open and shut, in my opinion. Then too bad. Unless they try going the parody route, because parody law is actually quite broad, and you can get away with a lot of shit as long as you list it as parody. So I guess let's take the legality out of it, because neither one of us are Leonard French. Let's take the legality shit out of it.
And that guy doesn't talk to me on Twitter.
Is it right? Is it okay for Fortnite to take these common stylists, not common, but these extremely well-known styles of dance and put them into their games?
With no credit whatsoever? I'm going to go with no.
Why not?
I don't know, man. It seems messed up. But I'm also trying to think of other games that might be doing the same thing that no one's ever paid attention about because it wasn't famous. Like
how many games have
dance moves in like League of Legends, dance moves in World of Warcraft, dance moves in every online multiplayer game since the history of online fucking multiplayer games have probably had dances based on real life dances or influenced by or something like that. We don't know if anyone's ever been paid or even mentioned in any of these dances, and we don't necessarily know the legality of copying a dance. Like you said, parody law is a kind of nebulous thing. But I don't know. I think the thing to me is that a lot of games will have dances as emotes that you can just do in the game. Fortnite specifically sells these dance moves. And that I think is the part that could really get them fucked.
Now, is that the caveat that I didn't know that you had this was a specific emote that you had to actually go out of your way to buy? Because one of your favorite games of all time.
I'm pretty sure you don't really start with any good emotes.
Okay.
In this. If
I recall, one of your favorite games of all time, Saints Row 3, actually has an emote called the Carlton, and he starts doing the dance,
and it's fantastic, and it's over embellished, but it's also just part of the game.
Yeah,
I'd pay money for the Carlton.
That does add an extra layer of complexity to this.
It's also called
that emote.
It's also called the Carlton.
Yes, but that credit's
clear
Carlton,
shout out,
not Alfonso Ribeiro. It doesn't say created.
They could call it the Alfonso, but I mean, you still know what it is.
So yeah, I was not aware that these were individual emotes that you could buy for cash, but that does add an extra layer of fuckery to
shenanigans.
So yeah, I don't have a good answer for you here, because if you can copyright a dance and these dances are indeed copyrighted, then Fortnite needs to pay up. But if you can copyright a dance and these people have not
there should be like royalties
dances,
on it, or like a percentage of the specific dance sale, or just a goddamn credit in the game somewhere.
Here's the thing though too. You can make the argument that they didn't go after other games that feature their moves, because back to the Saints Row 3 thing, And there is such a thing. Remember, we were talking about the Mojang Scrolls thing a long, long time ago. If you don't actively defend your copyright, it's considered abandoned. Once again, I am not a lawyer. I am just throwing out
Well,
bits
and that's the
pieces
thing
off
is
my
that
memory.
we don't think necessarily that a lot of these people actually copyrighted a dance move. Michael Jackson had trademarks, but again, that guy
Yeah,
was
and
a little
copyright and
extra
trademark are two
eccentric.
separate things, as we learned from our conversation with Brad Wardell.
Yep. But we don't know that everybody would have done that.
Anyways, just wanted to bring this out there. I think it's kind of a hilarious story, but it actually, once you start unpacking it, can get pretty serious. Let us know what you think down in the comments below and in the chat as well. This is one of those things that neither one of us are lawyers on. We only kind of base our shit on what we see on SVU, Law and Order.
I don't watch SVU, so I literally just make it up as I go. Like, I'm doing my best over here, guys. Just let it happen.
So take nothing that we're saying on here as any kind of legal advice whatsoever. This is just a spitballing our fractured knowledge of law and copyright and trademark that we've gathered together over the past 2 years, because for some reason I'm fascinated by these lawsuit stories.
It's just interesting when, like, lawsuit or I don't want to say serious websites start throwing a bunch of like gaming culture stuff out there, but that's how I'm gonna say it anyway. I like it when we pull stories from BBC and Newsweek and weird shit that we shouldn't be pulling stories from. I think it's entertaining. Also, fun fact that I cannot let slide during this conversation: Alfonso, the guy that played Carlton, was actually the little kid dressed as Michael Jackson in that old ass Pepsi commercial that walks into Michael Jackson.
Wait, what? Really?
Yes, absolutely. He was the kid that could full on like moonwalk and do all of Michael's dances that bumped into Michael outside a convenience store, and he's like, "Have a Pepsi." Yeah,
didn't know that. Very interesting.
And there you go. Everyone actually learned something on this show.
All right, so that wraps things up for the news last week. It is going to be very slim pickings over the next couple of weeks as everyone kind of goes off on holiday breaks, which is why everyone does the same thing that we're about to do right now. That's right, we're about to do the best games moments and worst games moments of 2018 as voted upon by the GamePoints staff.
Wait, we voted?
No. Long story short,
if I was supposed to vote, I didn't vote, everybody, just so you know. This might be a one-sided list.
Both David and I are going to go for our best moments and games in 2018 and our worst moments and games in 2018. We each have our own lists. Criteria: if it comes down to a game, it must have been released by January 1st, 2018. Early access does count if they have monetized it in any way, shape, or form.
Now this is something that's like a little bit of a GamePoints tradition. If your game can be paid for and bought with money, I don't give a fuck if you say it's early access. That's a game. If I can buy it for $30, if I can buy it for $60, that is when it's considered for our list.
And can
which
be
is why
reviewed
we talked about
accordingly.
Which is why we talked about PUBG and Fortnite and all that shit last year, because that's when you could buy it.
If you can make money off of it, if you're taking money from people, you can be judged and reviewed accordingly. That said,
if there's one thing that this podcast likes to do, is judge.
That said, if it leaves early access next year, it does not count based on those rules.
Yeah, we ain't gonna get you back. I don't care if your game gets better. If I paid for it once, I ain't paying for it again. Get out of here. Also, if you're in chat, feel free to throw in your favorite game moments, favorite games,
Absolutely.
Games you hated, games that disappointed you, whatever you get into.
Same with YouTube comments down below. 4 moments, anything that has happened since January 1st, 2018 till today, and with a quick explanation as to why we think it is good or bad, because not everyone will necessarily see eye to eye on things. Out the gate.
We have to talk about it.
I gotta get real serious on you guys real quick. When we talk about worst moments, the Jacksonville shooting at the Madden tournament is off the table. It is obviously the absolute worst moment that happened in games this year, but the nature of this topic is too glib and too
we're really trying to keep this lighthearted, and that is just overwhelmingly tragic.
So I'm just letting you guys know, yes, we remember that happened. No, we're not going to be getting into it. So that way people in chat somewhere goes, well, what about blah, blah, blah. That thing requires more reverence than we're willing to give it at the moment. So I'm just stressing it. Yes, we know it happened. Yes, it is the absolute worst thing that happened. Let's get that out of the way right now. So, serious bit over. Back into the fun times. Let's start
Fun
with
times.
our favorite gaming moments and games or games of 2018. David,
Also, this is in no order whatsoever.
No order
It's
at all.
very loosely organized, and
Yes.
it's completely ridiculous, which is why I'm going to start my favorite shit of the year list with something that I've been talking about since it fucking came out, since I played it at PAX and bought it day of and continued to get like 10 hours in it that weekend. The Messenger on Switch is a must fucking buy in my list because that game is so goddamn good. Thoughts?
I haven't played it yet, but I take that back. I played it for like 5 minutes. It looked fucking amazing.
It's a game that plays a bit like an old school Ninja Gaiden, and you'll go through the game and think, oh, I guess it's just kind of an easy side scroller. And then the game opens up into ridiculousness. It starts out 8-bit game, 8-bit music, and then at some point you travel through time, and the whole fucking thing turns 16-bit, and the game deals with time travel, and it's fantastic. There's levels where you're actually jumping between 8 and 16-bit. You unlock abilities, you get a little Metroidy. It's damn fun if you like old school side-scrolling video games. It's also like built for speedrunning.
One of my favorite moments of 2018, and I'm going to get some shit for this, but god damn it, I really liked it. The Game Awards. Not necessarily because I liked the final product, but because I love how far that thing has advanced since it was back on Spike TV.
Like we don't talk about the Spike years. The Spike years don't count. The Game Awards started in 2014. End of discussion.
Every year it gets better and closer to what it should be. And that moment when when Jeff Keighley was able to get Reggie Fils-Aimé, Sean Layden, and Phil Spencer on the stage at the same time, I saw that and went, "Holy shit, this is something good."
Yeah, that shit is absolutely on my list. Reggie, Phil, and Sean on one stage is kind of ridiculous.
Now,
it hasn't happened. Jeff pulled it off.
That said, you can rightfully criticize a lot of that show. Rightfully so.
I didn't see no Chick Hydrobot.
But that's my point. We're getting better and closer to something that it should be and that games deserve to be. And Coco, we are going to get into that specific thing later on. I goddamn sure you.
Oh yeah, that's on the list.
David, what else you got?
Okay, let's go with things that I was outrageously disappointed in. I'm just gonna lump a couple things in together really quick.
Do you have anything? Do you have any more good moments? Because I want to get.
I got a bunch of good moments.
Let's go for the good stuff. I want to save all the hate up in one concentrated ball of. Hatred.
So I'm gonna switch from games to just a raw moment, and one of my favorite things that happened this year that was completely ridiculous. I don't know who watches like esports or who watches fighting game tournaments specifically, but early in the year there was this constant rivalry between Sonic Fox and Goichi playing Dragon Ball FighterZ. And during Evo, in the last round, Goichi was coming back from the losers, or Sonic was coming. I don't fucking remember. I think Goichi was coming back from the losers bracket, got the reset, and then with everything on the table, Sonic Fox switched sides. And it's like this huge fallout because everyone was pissed at him because he literally moved like from the player 2 to the player 1 spot, and then immediately just kicked Goichi's ass. Like. There was to the point where there's memes out there with like tier lists. Like the best players of this game in the world are Sonic Fox P1, Goichi, Sonic Fox P2. Like, is a thing that happened. It turns out it's totally in the rules. It's totally legal. He could have done it at any point. Anybody who lost a round can choose to have a side switch. But it was just this whole big clusterfuck, and I thought it was hilarious. And there you go. That's one of my moments.
All right. The rest of my good stuff is all games. And I'm going to start off with this one right here. It's probably a game you haven't heard of. I highly recommend you take a look at it. It's from Lucas Pope, the guy who made Papers, Please. It is a game called The Return of the Obra Dinn.
That game looks real nice.
It is done in a 1-bit style. It actually won Best Game Design or Best Game Look at the Game Awards. I can't quite remember exactly what it is. And it is a murder mystery where you play an insurance agent trying to figure out what the fuck happened on this like 1800 style ship that disappeared and reappears again 6 years later with the entire crew murdered. The less I tell you about it, the more amazing it is. But if you liked Papers, Please and you like those inductive reasoning games, I highly cannot recommend Return of the Obra Dinn enough. That game is so goddamn good.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna jump straight to a AAA game.
Okay.
I only actually put a couple of them on my list because there was a lot of shit that came out this year, and a lot of it's great, a lot of it's fantastic, but you know what that shit is. So instead, I'm going to go back all the way to February, and we're going to talk about Monster Hunter World and how a new console-based Monster Hunter game came out this year and was probably one of my favorite damn things to happen.
It actually sucked me into Monster Hunter for the first time ever. That's a game I've been trying to get into for years. But Monster Hunter was the first one that actually clicked for me.
It's a game that was huge in Japan. It's a game that was originally on PlayStation 2 that then went to portable and went obscure and no one paid any attention to it. And then this game came out that had 1 million quality of life improvements for longtime fans and was just really damn good. It looked great. It had fun gameplay. Yes, it's a bit of a grind fest, but if you like the gameplay, it doesn't really bother you, and that's why it is on my list. It made young me happy.
My next thing I want to point out for good things happened this year, the PlayStation AAA trifecta, Spider-Man, God of War, and Detroit Become Human. Holy fuck, did they really knock it out of the park this year with AAA releases. I love all 3 of those games. Spider-Man specifically is probably my favorite of those 3. It's one of the few games I have actually bought the season pass for the DLC for, and I am looking forward to playing that as it comes out. I want to say later this week that the 3rd of the 3 City Never Sleeps DLCs. Play all 3 of them. Detroit Become Human is possibly the best Quantic Dream game ever, or at the very least gives Heavy Rain a strong run for its money. God of War revitalizes a franchise that was for the most part dead to me because they kept doing the same thing over and over again. And Spider-Man is quite possibly the best superhero game since Batman Arkham Asylum. And possibly...
Dude, the movement in that game is so incredible.
Yes, and possibly one of the greatest open world games of all time.
Yeah, it's a real nice. It's a real good game.
So yes, take a look at those. David, I got 3 more for the goods.
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go from big to small, and I'm gonna talk about how much I've been playing Horizon Chase Turbo on Switch. That game came out. That game came out a while ago. It's small, it's simple, it looks like Outrun, and I love it. It's a racing game in the oldest style, where your camera is just fixed behind your car, and the level moves. That's just what it looks like. It's like playing Outrun. It's like playing the old Ferrari arcade games of yore with a cool retro soundtrack and a bunch of ridiculous cars in it, and I really like it. I really like it.
Very nice. My next one, it's a return to form for a series I've always loved that lost its way with 2 and 3, but I'm glad to say that 4 is equally just as good as the first one, and that's Valkyria Chronicles 4.
Oh, that's a good one. I forgot that game even happened.
You shouldn't have. You own it.
Yeah, I actually really like that game as well. But if we're getting tactical, I'm going to switch and instead talk about something that came out 1 million years ago that's been needing a return to form, video game wise.
Yeah, you're about to say what
BattleTech
was. Yep, goddamn right, BattleTech. That was
BattleTech
on my list.
So damn good. It's based more on the board game than any of their games have been. I think I haven't had that much fun with a BattleTech MechWarrior adjacent game since Mech Commander, and it's just fan-fucking-tastic.
The last of the good things I wanted to really stress in 2018, and keep in mind, it's not like this is the only good stuff. These are just things that were so high.
There's a shit ton of good stuff. This is just the stuff we spent a lot of our time on, personally.
And that is 11-bit games Frostpunk. This is
Frostpunk.
a city management sim from the guys that brought you This War of Mine, and as equally bleak as their previous game. You are essentially the mayor of the last city on Earth in like a steampunky style Victorian setting where the entire planet has iced over, and you have to make horrible decisions to keep your colony alive. It is so good, and if you like games like SimCity or City Skylines, you have to play this game. The scale is significantly smaller, but they actually have some choices that make you pause over that mouse and go, oh, fuck, this is horrible. Like, do you eat people because you're out of food, or do you actually bury them? You have a convoy of 23 people coming with 10 kids. They're going to die if you don't let them in. But do you let them in, or do you go, fuck off, I need these beds for my own people? And the game is constantly full of choices like this, and it is so...
Are you sure you weren't just playing Kingdom Death again?
Fair enough.
That's pretty good. So this is going to be a funny one for my last one.
Okay.
Because I'm going to talk about another console exclusive, But even though I'm the guy that owns a PlayStation and a computer, I have to give a shout out to Forza Horizon 4.
That game's so pretty. I've
God
played it. It's actually good.
Did I play a lot of that game? I ended up picking it up on PC because thanks Xbox for putting all your games on both. That's really convenient for me because I don't need an Xbox and I'm not going to buy one. But I appreciate you bringing stuff to me anyway. That game was really fun because it was on Xbox Game Pass, so technically you could get away with playing it for 3 months for like the $20 trial subscription.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely
recommend damn long time to play.
If you like racing games, that's the new Gran Turismo. That series has gone by the wayside. Forza has ascended and taken its place. Let's be honest here.
Horizon is not like Gran Turismo. Horizon specifically is the non-simulation game, and we could talk about this later, Steven, but stay in your lane. This is the arcadey version of Forza.
First off, you use that specific phrase, and I immediately kind of start to feel the hairs on my head go back up because I want to get argumentative right out the gate, but I'm going to pull back a little bit.
Had to be done, man.
All right.
Anyway, I played a lot of that, and I felt it fun to end my list with a actual Microsoft game as opposed to me just continually hand-jobbing Sony all this show.
You know, so at the beginning of this year, we have been hand-jobbing Sony a lot, but
they had a really good year.
Xbox has some good stuff on the future. So let's before we get into the bad/worst gaming moments games of 2018, let's take a look at chat and what chat has to say about it. Coco Futaco says 2018 was a great year for Sony exclusives. Absolutely. Dr. Hugo says Detroit was so good. Introspect says he's gonna have to give Monster Hunter World a shot. We have the Switch.
On everything.
Coco Futaco says the Switch release could be considered a huge highlight of 2018. The Switch came out in 2017, unless you mean their release calendar, but they had some good games. Let's be for certain. So yeah, we actually have some people definitely agreeing with us on that there. Dr. Hugo says if you did not play Frostpunk, do it now. I 100% agree.
Yeah,
all right, David.
That game's pretty cool.
Now for the part that makes me smile all the time, pure unbridled hate.
Let's get mad at stuff. So I'm going to start with something that I'm not actually mad at. This is just a moment that didn't really fit in either of my lists, but I had to bring it up because I talked about it on the show. And look at that, we're calling back an old episode. But the League of Legends World Finals this year, I don't want to get too into, but I do just have to bring up the fact that, again, for the first year since they were eligible, a Korean team did not make it into the finals, much less even the semifinals, and that is fucking ridiculous.
And I don't even know what interesting worth pulling out. It means that esports are starting to become more and more international.
Yeah, esports is now more and more about the money, which is why I don't know if to put that on a best or a worst part of my list. So we're just gonna bring it up now, and
all right,
you guys just enjoy the fact that I think pro play in League is probably better than it's been.
Well, if we're gonna talk about the money, let's go ahead and get to the worst thing that I thought happened in 2018, and that is the fucking continuing saga of the loot box, and now we're starting to have government fucking intervention in it. I'm not going to go into a big rant on this one right now, but I fucking cannot stand that the loot box situation has gotten so out of control that we have legitimate governmental powers starting to sniff around to step into this. And
dude, you remember earlier in the year when the whole Shadow of Mordor, whatever the fuck game came out, and it had loot boxes and it was shitty, and the whole end of the game was like unplayable. Correct, but if you recall, earlier this year they pulled all the loot boxes and all that shit out and put out a press release that basically said that those additions were making the game worse and they were removing them, which led all of the internet to say, "I fucking told you so, you money-sucking assholes."
Yep,
and that was pretty bad.
And it's now accumulating with EA fucking breaking Belgian law because they refuse to take loot boxes out of their games. You have the FTC starting to snoop onto this, and I'm telling you, it is going to get progressively worse when government steps in, because these companies couldn't keep their fucking dick in their pants and kept fucking putting loot boxes and cramming down all of our throats, and so now the government's going to get in job. And you know what the government's going to do? They're going to hold our mouth open wider. I hate this so much because it's not one of those things I could look at one side and go, oh yeah, you guys are on the right and you're wrong. It's like I can look at both sides and say a pox on both your fucking houses, because this is where it's led to. And it's just going to get worse. David.
I'm going to lighten that up like a motherfucker, and I'm going to talk about something that just pissed me off and annoyed me. So we've had like this huge influx of remasters and re-releases and yada yada. the last couple of years, and some of them have been great, and some of them were like throwbacks to games that I loved back in the day. But there was a few that came out this year specifically that just pissed me off because they weren't as good as I wanted them to be. The one I'm the least mad at is probably Titan Quest on Switch because I was pretty stoked for that game, and then it just kind of runs like shit. So that was a bummer. And then there was Secret of Mana that had a remake, and I was like, oh man, I love Secret of Mana. This is gonna be awesome. And then that wasn't really what I wanted it to be either. But the one that pissed me off the most, and I know a shit ton of people bought it and played it and are gonna say, yeah, you're wrong. Fuck you. Dark Souls Remastered was fucking garbage because they didn't fix shit and charged way the fuck too much for it. There's other companies that had remasters, re-releases of their game that did more, that released it as a goddamn patch. Just look at Divinity Original Sin and their definitive edition that just was added to the damn game and did way more than Dark Souls Remastered did to the fucking game. All the bugs and glitches and bullshit you could do in the original game are still in there. All they did was fix the fucking frame rate to what it should have been at the first place when they released it on PC and gave you a little bit more resolution. Yes, you can go into Blighttown for the first time and not have lag. But seriously, fuck you.
Fair enough. Coach Talk, thanks for showing up. You have a good night. And yes, I agree. It's going to be a bunch of old farts that know nothing about video games making the rules. So, my next one. My next one is an entire marketing campaign dealing all the way up to the release of the game over Battlefield 5 and all the bullshit that went along with it. Starting from the Fortnite-esque E3 trailer to the dismissive attitude of so many executives where anytime people would have concerns, it would get dismissed as misogyny, down to the statements of, if you don't like it, don't buy it. So people didn't fucking buy it, to the fact that the game launched missing features that were supposed to be in there, to the fact that the Battlefield Battle Royale mode, arguably the biggest thing they should have had on deck before anything else, is now delayed till next year. The game feels fucking empty as hell. It's so lackluster in its content, and EA is paying for it hard in their stock price. Everything revolved around that game is one of the worst things that happened in 2018.
Maybe they shouldn't have screwed over Respawn and let them make another Titanfall game.
That's what I say.
It was fucking amazing.
David.
Maybe give someone else a shot.
I don't want to get into too many details about that, because then you start branching off into multiple conversations. But overall, the entire way Battlefield V5, whatever it's called, Sandaled, is just bad.
And I think I had a rant about the numbering scheme of those games a couple episodes ago, if you want to find that. My last one is the big one, so I don't know if you have anything before we get into it, but there's one big bitch we got to talk about that's just been completely mishandled, poorly launched, poorly received, and has had so many shit show stories. It's the gift that keeps on giving as long as you're not looking for fun. And that is Fallout 76.
That was number one with a bullet on my list.
Absolutely. It has to be. Like, that game was just a train wreck. I was actually way more... If you go back, I was far more excited about this game than you ever were.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I love the idea of let's go to the Wasteland. Let's bring a bunch of friends. Let's do some quests. Let's try and nuke some people. Let's just have a good time. That game came out, and like a lot of other Bethesda games, it is buggy as shit. It has a bunch of issues. And we're kind of relying on them to patch it because there's not a whole lot of mod tools. But everything around it...
You can't mod a game that's online all the time, because it depends on access to their servers. You can mod it for your computer and your computer alone, but when you're talking to other people, you can't even really mod it.
Yeah, this game came out a while ago, still runs like absolute shit on my computer, but more so than that, there's everything around the game. From like fan backlash when it was first announced because everyone thought it was going to be another single player Fallout, and them just like burying it and then revealing it at the last minute, like, hey, guess what, this is a multiplayer survival game, and everyone getting kind of bummed about that. And then the game actually coming out, people trying it out and realizing that this is an early access game you just paid $60 for.
The multitude of bugs, crashes, glitches, the lack of any real quest lines, the fact that it's a multiplayer Fallout that the map is so fucking big on, you're lucky to ever run into other people unless you party in a group.
It's also a survival game without any of like the danger of a survival game.
Yeah.
You meet another player and they can't really do anything to you because in order to start PvP, you have to hit them back. But then if you kill each other, I'm pretty sure it just turns off again. So it's, I don't know. It's weird. It's not what I
And
expected.
let
It's
us
not the
not
worst thing.
forget the bag controversy.
The Baggate 2018. Let's talk about the fact that they had a collector's edition that stated explicitly that you got a nice canvas bag for your, what, $140, $240, whatever the hell
I believe
price
it was
collector's
200.
edition. And they shipped a piece of shit nylon bag that you could go buy from any random like dollar store or from a like just a small outlet store for probably $9 instead of a nice canvas bag. And it's just ridiculous. It just gets worse. There's this bullshit bag in the game, and they're like, "Oh, sorry. To make it up to you guys, since we didn't have the materials because it turned out to cost too much, even though cost analysis is something you should fucking do before you put a goddamn collector's edition together and sell it to somebody. If you don't make the money back, then maybe charge more or learn how to acquire materials." They said, "Hey, you can have 500 atoms for your trouble," which, as we found out, weren't even enough to buy the damn bag in game.
It really is the gift that keeps on giving for outrage. All right, so if that's your last worst thing, I'll lightning around these last 3 ones. Worst moments of 2018 for me, that fucking Sony E3 conference.
Oh, what Sony E3 conference?
Exactly.
Still better than Square Enix. Gotta say that. That has to be said. Everything Square Enix had was revealed the night before, and Square Enix was just like, we're watching the same trailers again for reasons.
Something that legitimately should outrage people. Telltale's abrupt shutdown. And how they fucking handled that shit.
Oh my god. Dude, the shutdowns this year were just...
yeah,
fuck,
they were all bad, but I'm specifically
so many people in games lost jobs.
I'm specifically calling out Telltale, though, because of how mismanaged that shit was. It's like, oh, you're all fired. By the way, your insurance runs out in 2 weeks. It was just fucking poorly handled. And then, of course, you mentioned Fallout 76, but the other elephant in the room, Diablo Immortal's announcement in the last 30 minutes of BlizzCon. And the ensuing PR clusterfuck.
Y'all have phones.
It was hinted at in chat earlier. I don't remember who says it, but I said that's definitely going to be on my list. This was... For a while, people have been saying they could see Activision's influence in Blizzard, but it wasn't until BlizzCon when the entire community kind of stopped and went, this is fucked up. And we know it is. And it was all summed up when that hero... Not all heroes wear capes, but sometimes they wear red shirts. Stood up and had the fucking brass balls to ask, is this some kind of early April Fool's joke?
That was
dickish. Yes.
That was definitely a dick move, and that was pretty mean and pretty rude to those guys, but you're at your con for what is pretty apparently a hardcore PC fan base, and you end the show by saying, "Hey, don't you have phones?
Here is
get Diablo on your goddamn phone." This is the thing that all these
Chinese
PC players are super excited for.
Garbage game that people immediately went, wait a minute, it's just a clone of this game, which is a clone of another game.
This is a game that exists for China, which is fair.
Yeah,
you guys got to make money. I get it. Talk about this third. Talk about this fourth. Talk about this early on the show. Release this as a fucking blog post. Whatever you have to do. Don't end your yearly expo show with this announcement.
I want to make perfectly clear. I do not begrudge this game from existing. I'm fine with this game existing. But like you said, you don't end with this, and then you don't, like, condescendingly treat players. I mean, the line of the show was, don't you have phones? It's like, motherfucker, you have missed the mark on your audience so goddamn hard it's not even funny.
Yep.
And it was just a horrible, bad way to end things.
And there was one that was so annoying that I skipped it.
Oh, go ahead. Let's finish it off.
This is way smaller than what we're talking about, but I'm just gonna remind you. That's it. I don't need to talk about it at all. But I'm gonna remind everyone that a game came out this year called Metal Gear Survive.
You know, that was on my list, and I cut it for time.
Fuck Konami, and that's all I gotta say because that shit is old news.
That was on my list, and I cut it for time. And speaking of time, we're going to wrap things up here with new releases real quick. But first, if you want, let us know both in chat and the YouTube comments what your favorite and worst moments in gaming were in 2018 down below. And I will read them when we come back on the next show to be determined. David, lightning round of
Or
new
it'll just
releases
be
this
after
week.
new releases, because let's talk about some bullshit that's coming out. Spoiler alert, it's not a lot because it's fucking mid-December and all the games are out already. But if you absolutely have to, you can play Cook Serve Delicious 2 for PS4, a game that has 3 exclamation marks in different places. It's pretty well reviewed on Steam. It's been out for a while. It's a restaurant simulation game that
it's real goddamn fun. It is actually really fun.
There you go. Take a look at it. I don't really describe cooking games well because they're not really my jam. Another game coming out is Donut County, right?
Yep.
I always want to call it Country because Donkey Kong Country exists. It's hitting Xbox One and Switch. This came out on PC a while ago. I'm pretty sure you played a shit ton of it. It's a game where you make holes, but you wanted more, I think.
Yes, an amazing little game. You can actually find the GamePoints review
on
YouTube.
An actual
on that.
Bona fide GamePoints review.
Yep, they were kind enough to give us myself a copy of that game for free for review for this channel right here.
Yeah. You
it
can't
is really
say
fun.
us. No one can really anticipate that I play anything.
It is really fun, but it's also only like 3 hours long, so you're going to plow through it very, very quick. But if you like Katamari, take a look at it.
Man, look at that. It sounds like it's longer and cheaper than The Quiet Man. Da-da-da. Also coming out this week is Scintillatron.
Oh, I have no idea how to pronounce this one.
I'm going to call it Scintillatron. That sounds great. For PS4 and Vita. Oh, shout out to Vita. It's getting another game in December. This is a high-score challenge-based game. It's a shoot-'em-up style where you just are there to build combos and make a shit ton of points. So it's like a lot of shoot-'em-ups, kind of easy to pick up, difficult to master. It's all about leaderboards. It's all about trying to get high scores. So if you must have every new shoot-'em-up, take a look at the game that no one can pronounce, Scintillatron 4096. PS4 and Vita. Warhammer Vermintide 2 hits PS4 this week. This game came out on PC quite a while ago.
Just had recent DLC for PC come out.
Sequel to a fantastic game. Vermintide is the first-person Left 4 Dead style Warhammer game based in their fantasy universe where you play as, I don't know, some hardcore mage or swordsman or dude with pistols, whatever you want to be, and you kill a shit ton of rats.
It is melee combat-focused Left 4 Dead. It is real goddamn good.
It is damn fun. It looks real nice on PC. I don't know how it looks on PS4, but I'm willing to bet you can enjoy it. We have Atari Flashback Classics for PS4. There's been a couple of Atari Flashback games. I think this one is more of a compilation than the others, although they all kind of are. This has 150 Atari games. A lot of times when we talk about compilation games, I try and read them all at once. I ain't doing it.
I mean,
this has got Adventure, Asteroid, Centipede, Millipede, Star Raid. It's got old school Atari shit.
David, let me ask you this question: why would I buy this when I can buy that Soulja Boy console that has 900 games on it?
Because instead you could just buy the Chinese version from AliExpress that has 3,000 games on it and is also $100 cheaper. GamePoints review of that bullshit sometime next year or whenever I get it from China.
Oh, really? I'm going to take a look at that.
Also coming out this week, Hellfront Honeymoon, PS4, Xbox One. It's a twin sticks action strategy game. You can play it with friends. Everyone's on a single screen. It doesn't exactly look like it, but gameplay-wise, it makes me think of Smash TV, and anything that makes me think of Smash TV, it makes me happy. So there you go. Run around together, kill things, have fun. R-Type Dimensions EX hits PS4. This is a compilation of R-Type and R-Type 2, which is an old school, like, coin-op, side-scrolling space shooter. It's got a bunch of... it's got all the original levels, but it has retro 2D graphics and new, shiny 3D graphics. I think they redid the music tracks, but you can also listen to the original score. And if you've never played R-Type, it's a pretty damn solid shooter. It inspired a whole lot of bullshit.
We need a new Gradius.
We absolutely do. And more than that, we... fucking Einhander. Square, get on it. Battle Princess Madeline comes out for PS4 and Switch. It's a pixel-perfect retro side-scroller. Looking at it, artistically, I was kind of getting some Celeste-style vibes, because it's got like a female protagonist, 2D side-scroller, but it's built more like a Metrovania. You get different abilities, you kill a bunch of bosses, and it looks fun. I like games that look fun, and this one does. And last, and maybe least, I have no idea, is Sundered Eldritch Edition for Xbox One and Switch. This is a hand-drawn, super fucking stylish game from the guys that made Jotun. If you remember Jotun,
that was all right.
It's real pretty though. So this is a replayable Metroidvania style game where you either resist or embrace spooky eldritch powers. You wander around, you fight crazy bosses, hand-drawn art, animation, decent sounding soundtrack from what I've heard, and like horde enemies, dynamic encounters, handcrafted procedural levels, and multiple endings. About 15 hours.
Wait, did you just say handcrafted procedural levels?
Handcrafted and procedural. So from what I understand, they probably hand drew some of the stuff. Some areas are set pieces, but then they also probably do procedural levels like in the middle.
All right, just want to make sure I heard that right, because those two things cannot exist at the same time.
Yeah.
All right, anyway.
But there you go. I think that's it. That's all the games.
And that
besides
wraps up...
the 20 new games that are going to hit the Switch, because they always do, and the 300,000 new games to hit Steam, because they always do.
And with that, that wraps up new releases.
Which kind of wraps up the show.
Thank you for tuning in to GamePoints episode 155. We do stream every Monday here at Twitch TV/GamePoints at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Except for next Monday, because that's Christmas Eve here in America and most of the world. So we ain't going to be on. Our next GamePoints episode may or may not be the 31st, the Monday after that. I need to talk with David here to find out what our plans are, and we'll go from there. At the very least, we'll be back the first Monday of January. So a 2-week or possibly even 3-week break for us. I will still be streaming a lot of those days. In fact, I'll be coming back here tomorrow at 9 to stream the rest of Dusk, an amazing little first-person shooter from the 90s if you want to come take a look at that. If you like what you see here, you can support the show any way you want to by following, throwing bits at, subscribing. Dr. Hugo, I saw you subscribe earlier. Definitely appreciate that.
Dude, we could do a live stream in person. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, okay, we'll worry about it later. God damn it, David, you threw me off. If you can't join us live here Mondays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can watch us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/GamePointsPC. I put up all the old episodes there, as long as they're of decent audio quality, as well as the occasional rant, rave, and sometimes review, much like Donut Country, if you want to take a look at that review as well. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at GamePointsPC. You can follow myself, Stephen Byrne, at CapitalistPig21, and you can follow David there at Palstrife_Story. Once again, thank you for watching us. And until next time, we're out of here.